hello again. This is the After Wine School podcast. I am Keith Wallace, and this is the amazing and delightful Alana Serby.
Thank you, Keith. So nice to be here.
Right?
Today we are talking about wine buying.
Oh yeah, we're going to cover everything you need to know about buying wine in wine stores. What's the inside secrets of these different places? Like, what's the difference between buying in a grocery store versus buying in a wine shop or buying in these big, elaborate chain wine stores that have popped up across America? We'll even talk about government-run wine.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, we'll talk about it all.
This is going to be a very informative session for our listeners. And I want to say, starting out, I always tell my students, and I believe this myself, buying wine is one of the hardest things.
I mean, I think I usually spend like 3-4 hours, but I'm also buying like about 3 or 4 grocery carts filled. Like, if you ever see me out buying wine in public, one, I have my headphones on and I have a really grumpy look. But I think the baseline for buying wine is to understand something that nobody seems to understand in wine, at least buying wine, is that there are actually categories of prices and of styles. And each of these categories of wine has a specific style attached to it. So first off, understand that the lowest level of wine quality is actually our value wine. This is a style of wine. It's actually exactly what it sounds like. It's supposed to be very low cost, very simple, easy, and have mass appeal. That's all it's designed for. The numbers change depending on economics and where you are, what state or country you're in. But usually it's under $12.
We're going to say 8 to 15.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's our entry level.
Absolutely, right? That's every single sad, easy drinking wine you've ever had in your life. And that's the place that as winemakers we hate, as retailers and as distributors we love, because all the money is spent there. That's like 95 to 97% of all wines bought are in that category. Highly competitive. But then you have to step up, and that's the premium. Now, it's funny. There's value, and then everything else has really nice names to it. Right now, it's premium, and then it's super premium, and then it's luxury, then icon. This price point, which ranges from $15 to $25-ish dollars, these are wines that are typically varietally correct, regionally correct, meaning that $18 bottle of Bordeaux, like from Canon Fransac, is going to taste like it is from Canon Fransac. Whereas that $8 bottle of Bordeaux is just going to taste fruit forward and just simplistic, because you are making wine specifically for a price point, not the other way around. You don't like make a wine and say, oh, how much does this cost? No, you have an idea before you're going in. And one of the biggest costs, well, the outliers, is new oak. So at this price range, you're not using new oak. Oftentimes you're using like second season, third season, fourth season oak, or not at all. And this is price point that I actually love the most, because you are going to be able to taste the wine and not the wine making above it. So no layers of big oak and concentrations of like unctuousness, but no, you get the regional and varietal fingerprint. Perfect. Especially for my students like going through small A classes. This is what I want them to try, so they're not being deluded to think that oak is what wine is. Now, there's wines that will never be in the premium. Some will be in that super premium, which is now you're getting into like 30, 40. Sometimes people will even consider like $50 being like a super premium. Now, these wines, maybe it's because it's from a very small wine region, or because it's like an Amarone. The process just makes it cost more, so that maybe, now it's actually in another category. Once in a while you dip into this, because there's some great wines here, like Trockenbeer and Auslese, like dessert wines from Germany that are just like, you have to have one of these. You have to in your lifetime have one of these and realize that that happiness can be in a bottle, that joy, in fact, isn't just being married and having kids. No, you could have ignored all that, lived your life as a monk, but as long as you had one bottle of this in your entire life, you would be very happy. It's true. I wouldn't lie about that. But however, so that's the super premium. Then above that is the place, it's the luxury. Now, diminishing returns. And very much that's what you're getting here. And it's not my favorite place. It's my favorite place when I'm making wines. This is where I like to have my wines, because I like, for my ego, I love that people will spend $100, $200 on my wine. And I do. I mean, for the school, we have to do this because, like, yeah, you want to have a really good Burgundy, and like, and to have some great like northern Burgundy Pinots, like you are spending 100, 150, $200. So you are in this stage. Or what if you want like try a second growth or third growth Bordeaux? Absolutely. What if you want to be able to have that super Tuscan everyone's been talking about? Like, yeah, you want to experience, you want to dabble in this, go in here, because there are some exceptional wines in this area, and it's going to be variable too. You're never always going to be happy. And just also know like that what you're paying for is oftentimes unctuousness and big oak, and sometimes it's just you're paying for a big show.
Yes.
And then from luxury you go to that next stage, which is the icon, and these are the collectible icon wines. And this is the place that, I mean, even if you are a low-level millionaire, you're not going to want to go here all that often, if ever, or let someone else buy these wines. These are the rare, the impossible to get. These are those wines that people brag about, but oftentimes don't enjoy. It's a great place if you're the producer, because you now have this name brand that everyone knows. But I never shop in this stage, and definitely not for classes, because it just isn't worth it in my mind.
I think the analogy to a luxury brand is exactly right. In the same way that a Louis Vuitton purse is a purse, does the same thing as another tote bag. But why do you buy it? Because it's name recognition. It's telegraphing to basically people who are drinking for an audience a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's true. Yeah. And all these layers: value, premium, super premium, luxury, and icon. You'll see that everything kind of corresponds, and you'll actually have a very good idea of how these wines taste, specifically by price point.
Good. I think that's super helpful, Keith.
Good.
So the first place we're going to talk about is the place that is really the essential home away from home for the wine lover. This is the wine shop, the independently owned wine shop. This is my favorite place to buy wine. This is your favorite place to buy wine.
Absolutely.
I can say that when I was new to wine, there was nothing more valuable than having a place to go where I could meet with a proprietor who was passionate and informed and had taken note of my prior likes and could put something special together. I think number one factor in a lot of people who get turned on to wine as a passion is they have that resource in their life. And so this should be stop number one. This is the apex of wine shopping.
I agree. I do love, because first off, you're starting with a person, right? There's one or two or three people who starts this wine shop, and they're oftentimes the buyer as well. And so they're coming in with passion and ideas and ability to explore things. So they're going to work with all your importers, all your distributors, and we've talked about distributors in past episodes. So, but they're dynamic and they're interesting, and you're typically aren't finding your average wine there. They may have that to the side, but there's going to be an interest. Some are going to be absolutely fascinated with Spanish wines. Some maybe Greek wines, or a certain kind of producer, whether maybe they're just everything they have is biodynamic or organic, or maybe it's just they have a certain love, certain passion, a certain kink. They have a wine kink a wine fetish. Yeah, no. What's your wine kink, people? Put it in the comments.
Hilarious.
Oh my. Oh. So everything about these is, that personal touch and creative, organic. It'll change often. These are the things I love. They're not really tied to one thing. And you'll find, especially as a lot of small producers, they'll come in one time a year, or even like one every couple of years, and there'll only be a few cases. And so a small wine shop can carry that for a little while, and then when it's sold out, and you'll have to wait another year. That's actually really special. That's why I like wine shops, small ones. It's just oftentimes a portal into someone's mind. That's why I don't run a wine shop, because no one wants that portal. And people who are great wine buyers aren't necessarily great salespeople.
Yeah.
And usually, because you're small, if they can, look, they're either really good at sales and make you feel really good, and then you walk away buying, okay, wines. But some of the greats I'm like, there was terrible customer service or any of that, but they're such great buyers. You walk in, you're like, I can't believe this. And usually they'll say, like, look, Keith, we know that this is so offensive that nobody else should buy this, but you should. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's nice when people I'm seeing, and I think that everyone likes that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the place where we disagree is where a lot of Americans do buy wine.
Yes.
And that is the grocery store.
Oh, God.
So I am in favor of wine at the grocery store. Keith, how do you feel about wine at the grocery store?
Oh, do we have to? I don't like it.
You don't?
I don't
You
like
don't.
it at all. I really grocery store wine.
So this is where, I think your long history in the wine industry,
Yes.
you're significantly older than I am, and
I think
it's
everyone who
sometimes
sees
hard.
this knows that.
It's sometimes hard for you to relate to the youthful perspective that I bring.
Fantastic. Yes. Okay.
No, but it is funny. I mean, growing up in a place where I did not have access to wine in a grocery store, I find it very comforting. It feels right to me when I was a young college student in Virginia, and the ability to buy booze at the grocery store, it just seemed like the height of civilization, and I've kind of never lost that feeling. So I don't buy wine hardly ever at the grocery store, but I appreciate when it's there.
Because it's easy.
Yes.
It's easy. You don't have to think about it. The exchange is just like you're buying it. It doesn't matter if you're, a 22-year-old or 80-year-old. Like, it's just you grab it along with you buying your, your hot dog buns and your burgers and your fiber plus. So the reason I have very real ways and fundamental ways why I dislike grocery stores having wine. First off, let's just recognize as a consumer, it's great. Now, be able to walk into one place, buy everything you want, buy it easily. That's height of capitalism. That said, from a production standpoint, from a business standpoint, it's not great. It's not great for the industry in general. And this is why. Grocery store is it's a large business that its focuses on having very low margins for everything and actually really charging your suppliers what are called slotting fees. So your big brands of like Kellogg's, they're actually paying for that spot in that grocery store. That's a part of the model of running a grocery store is you make very tight margins, but the suppliers are actually paying to be in specific places, especially in very eye-level places. So this is a very different model than wine stores have. To have that level of consistency and availability means you can only have generic high volume wines in that place. So all you're getting really, doesn't matter what price point you're really just getting a value brand, like a value wine. Like everything is inoffensive. You can't have anything there that is interesting. We can't. And, so it's just your generic Pinot Grigio, your generic Merlot. Nothing can be interesting because it has to be easy and inoffensive. Everyone here knows I like offensiveness. I like things that challenge me. I want things not to be average every day. My TV viewing is not going to be soap operas. It's not going to be Everyone Loves Raymond. Give me Breaking Bad. That's what I want. I want things challenging me. So that said, they tend to actually kill small wine shops. At one point, this is like about 15 years ago, I was working with the former chairman of the PLCBO, the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board, and a group of politicians, not public, but private wine shops to start existing in Pennsylvania, which is a controlled state where there, at that point, there were absolutely no private wine shops. And one of the biggest things we were working on is how do we make sure that we encourage small wine shops, independent wine shops to exist, but not actually allow grocery stores to have wines. Because we all saw that as, and this is everyone here were either politicians or people in the wine trade. And we all wanted to make sure that didn't happen because we really wanted to have local wine shops be competitive. So that's one of the big problems is that if it's too easy, people don't go out of their way. And that's for me because I am very much of the wine trade. Mm-hmm. And so I like my small producers and that just, it just does. I like that we're small. I love it that we're small. We don't need to be big. because big is inoffensive.
Well, I think it's time to talk about the chain wine store
Oh.
area that you are very familiar with.
Yes. Yes, I am. Okay.
You are
Oh,
intensely
yes.
knowledgeable. So
Oh,
tell us
okay.
everything. Give us the download on
Okay.
shopping at your big regional or national chains.
Okay. Well, first of all, so if you are not familiar, these are wine shops that are as large as a grocery store, but just for wine. Now, some of these are independent and they're fantastic, but a lot of them are actually chains. You may not even know it's a chain because some states don't allow chain names. What they do is they actually will undercut all the prices for national brands, just like the grocery stores do. They'll even do it for 1 penny below cost.
Wow.
So what they do is, so this is the whole business plan, is that you get people to come there. It's a destination. There is going to be over 10,000 different SKUs, wine SKUs. You know it's a good price because you've seen the advertisements, and all the wines you know and recognize, they're always cheaper than anywhere else. But what you don't realize is that now that we have confidence that all the prices are the best possible, we have all the national brands, all at really great prices. But then a huge chunk of the wines in that shop are actually brands that we came up with a name for. We developed the wine. We contracted producers to make these wines for us, created the bonding and all the rules to create an actual fictitious winery. And now you have this wine from, whether it's from California or from Spain or from France, you've never heard of. It has a great label. It actually seems like a great price, but our markup is so much higher because we own the whole thing. We own the producer. We own the name. The only thing we don't own is the distributor, and they just charge us a clearance fee to get it into our wine store because we can't legally take it, create the wines, and then have it in our shop. We have to have a company that's an independent company between us. So we've negotiated that. They're only charging a very pittance
Because of the scale.
because of the scale. So, and this is how this works. So you're going through, you're like, oh, this is nice. Like all the prices are great. And I never heard of these wines. And there's really nice folks who work there are recommending these wines. And so I pick these up too.
And they're knowledgeable. They're knowledgeable.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, they're well trained.
But if you go to one of these wine shops, just take a look. You're going to see a lot of wines you don't recognize right at eye level. But then if you look up or look down, like just too high to really reach and too low to bend, that's where all the other wines are. If they're not getting high margin on those, they're going to put them in a place that's inconvenient to the consumer. And and there's a nickname for this. This is called the third world.
Wow.
Where we're putting first world are the things you own, second world are the things that you're getting good margin on, third world are the things that you have to have but that are going to be very inconvenient. And just to give you an idea, shops like these, they can clear over $1 million in a weekend, every weekend.
What?
Yes. And
Seriously?
and I'll give you and I can give you oh yeah, because you're going to place them in a place where everyone can get to really easily. You'll even see some of these actually, even like restaurants will go and buy in these, even though they legally shouldn't be able to do that, because sometimes it's even cheaper than they can get through their own distributors. And to give you a basic idea, like, so your average wine shop, like you mentioned DC, but like they may make $2 million in a whole year. So whereas one of these big chain ones can actually, easily clearing that in a weekend.
Oh, that's wild. Okay.
Oh yeah, high volume. But look to see if it's actual real brand or not. Like if you don't recognize it, Google it, check it out, find it, search it, and then buy it. And look, if it's good, and you can also because they have to have everything from everywhere. Like you can actually find good deals. You just have to be very careful of how you look. You can't just grab things willy-nilly. You have to search it, take a look, figure out if it's a good deal or not. Like there's great websites like Wine Searcher that you can do this for, especially if you're going into places where maybe like into Spain, into weird places in France that maybe aren't very popular. You can get great deals here. But just realize that everything usually at eye level, oftentimes designed specifically to push high margin items. So both grocery stores and chain wine shops do this. So just be aware, do your own research. That's what I'm going to say. So I teach at the level 2 sommelier programming, mostly for the National Wine School. And when I grade these things, especially people are taking the exam online, I can tell exactly when someone's buying from a chain store. They actually are more for that grocery store consumer who wants convenience and lots of things and good cheap prices. And they're not getting the great stuff. I know it. Like I'm like, oh no, this is awful. Because they wanted to save like $2 But instead of spending 16, they want to spend 14. And they pay the price because they're substandard wines and they're not getting an education.
Now, there is a worse place to shop, and that would be a state-run store.
Well,
Which
I disagree. I disagree. I love them.
We can disagree about this as well.
Yes.
So growing up in Pennsylvania,
Yes.
where you have state-run stores, I would recommend anybody who's interested in a state-run grocery store to come to Pennsylvania and buy some wine. See how that goes. It's pretty brutal.
Yes.
Not designed for the consumer in mind. It is designed actually to be a barrier between wine and the consumer, and it feels that way.
Okay, so the things are that if you thrive in systems that are inefficient and you can exploit those inefficiencies, fantastic. However, so one of the things, the reason why it's so great, it was the innovation that one guy did, Jonathan Newman, my friend, when he was the chairman of the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board, he started something called the Chairman's Selection. And this was an innovation. If there was a winery that was distressed in some way, whatever it was, he would buy the entire inventory at pennies on the dollar, and then they would sell it in Pennsylvania oftentimes for so much less money than it was worth. You would find times that there were Grand Cru Burgundies that were sold for like $30 that should be going for $200. This became an innovation that eventually VC and private equity money came in and eventually started companies like Wine Still Sold Out and other companies that now have this. But the state system in Pennsylvania really innovated this, and they still do it where you can get really good deals. Now, the other thing that's really good, right, is the inefficiencies. They don't change prices. They don't know what they have. So you can actually, if you don't mind spending hours just digging through a morass of overpriced, pathetic, sad wines to find the gems, absolutely. Like, I find such great stuff there, especially for classes. Because the thing is, with running a wine school, I want wines that over exceed, and the state system is great for that. There was a point in time when I was finding Gaia, like Barbarescos, for like half the price they're supposed to be because they were mislabeled, and nobody bothered to change the labels. Or after they scanned for like a third the price. Like, of course I'm going to buy that. Of course. I have fond memories of the inefficiencies.
Well, I have a fond memory, actually. There was an instance where I was teaching and the LCB leveraged its buying power because it is one of the biggest buyers in the Northern Hemisphere. It has massive sway, and they bought the entire vintage of a small producer in Burgundy.
Oh, I remember that wine.
And so we had this gorgeous Pinot Noir that no place else had. It was wild. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And we got that for a song.
It was crazy. So there are, lightning can strike sometimes for sure.
Yes.
But especially for the novice wine drinker, it's tough. It's really tough.
I love it for the reason that it is difficult. For the same reason I hate grocery stores. But state-owned, the inefficiencies, they buy things that no one should ever buy. There have been so many great wines that nobody in their right mind should have bought. But I love the fact they did. Buying like vertical vintages of northern Greek wines that nobody ever asked for or ever would expect to see, but there they were. Yes. But not for the civilian.
Yes.
It's such a pain in the ass.
Yes. So this is the place you definitely stick with value or premium wines. Don't buy your iconic.
Oh, no. They've been badly stored. No.
This has been great. I think this is going to be really helpful for people.
I hope so. I think so. Yeah, just getting a little behind the scenes,
Absolutely.
And and taking away one last thing is, of all these, if you're an underage kid, I think that probably buying at a grocery store is probably the best place to go. Just there you go, a little nugget. And, just a little too, a little easy.
Worked out for me.
Yeah. That's really? Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Well, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Kid with a fake ID going to the grocery store. Hell yeah.
I grew up with controls. I grew up in Massachusetts.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
Them.
Yeah. All right, guys.
We love doing this for you. If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate, review, like, subscribe, tell a friend.
If you are interested in what we're talking about, you want to be a part of the trade, definitely check out the National Wine School, wineschool.us, the only certification that's actually geared towards the American wine industry. And I will say, if you are in our neck of the woods, in Philly or anywhere near Philly, take a class. Alana's is absolutely amazing. And it's a crapshoot whether you get her or me. And finally, you get the whole episode on YouTube at Wine School USA. Wine School USA. Wine School USA. Great way. Yeah. Join us there. Tell everyone about us. We want you to tell people about us. Even if it's just like this dude, he's fucking crazy. He talks about wine like he should be in an institution.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's our tagline.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.